Shalom and blessings to you, saints. What a wonderful day it is. I am so overjoyed that I have the opportunity, unlike last week, to be able to sit with you here and to speak to you in better health. Yahweh is faithful, and I do not attribute things to the adversary. Everything for me comes because of Yahweh's wisdom and His doing. I'm grateful and thank you for tuning in today. Can you see clearly? Is the audio fine? I'd appreciate it if you can give me that feedback so that we can proceed. Yahweh is good and His mercies endure forever. I was so eager for this time to arrive today. I was waiting patiently. I was bursting at the seams to be able to be here with you all, to sit with you today, and to engage you in what I know would be an extremely critical and important moment as always. Thank you for the feedback. Now, once it's clear, would you be kind enough to let someone know that we're here? You can share the broadcast with them, or you can invite them in your own way so that they would know, that saint would know that we are here today. And this is our moment, or one of those moments in which we spend time and have interaction and fellowship. I am overjoyed as well at the outpouring of concern and love that you've demonstrated to me and your interest in my well-being. It means much. Thank you. Thank you, and I'm so appreciative. I am so grateful. I have not felt as terribly as I did last week in forever. But it's pretty much over. And I'm here. Not 100% yet, but I have enough battery percentage to sit before you and to deliver this which I know is so vital to all of us. We're in Daniel chapter 5. Daniel chapter 5. Be careful of how you handle Yahweh's holy vessels. Yahweh's holy vessels. There is no doubt, there is no question, or there should be none in our minds as relates to the obvious disregard that is shown for saints of Yahweh's. There is clearly, shalom and love you all so much, there is clearly a lessening, and that is by divine design. There is clearly a lessening of respect and value for saints of the Most High Yahweh. Love you all. Blessings and shalom. I submit to you that the true saints, those who are genuinely called to be set apart and consecrated, they are divinely set up to be hated. Messiah Yeshua said, that is recorded in the records of his life, that we are supposed to be hated for his name's sake. We are instructed that we should rejoice, disciples of his, rejoice when men speak all manner of evil things against you. You are commanded to rejoice when wicked people hate you. It is a direct instruction that you ought to be in a frame of mind, have a paradigm of rejoicing when wicked people hate you for his name's sake. When you manifest the character of Messiah and people dislike you for it, and people say all manner of evil things about you for it, the instruction is that you should be rejoicing. It is important for you to understand that, because it is contrary to what is normal. Yahweh, in order to deliver the saints, as is recorded in the revelation of Yeshua, as is recorded in the revelation of Yeshua, Yahweh, in order to deliver the saints, must have the anti-Messiah and the dragon, the devil, Hasatan, the adversary. They must have such a degree of hatred for Yahweh's holy people that it drives them and those who follow, which would be the nations like Gog and Magog and those, it would drive them into a head-on confrontation, with the ultimate ambition being that they would destroy utterly the saints of Yahweh. Do you understand the extent to which a saint has to be hated, or a nation of saints has to be hated, for the world, leaders thereof, to gather with one sole intention, and that would be to destroy those who are the saints of Yahweh? That is our faith. That is what's recorded in our holy book. I submit to you that international policies have been and shall continue to be drafted that would target the saints for destruction. I submit to you further that prayer meetings, as some of you know it to be and love to call it, would not yield deliverance from this persecution, because you were never supposed to be delivered from persecution. You're not supposed to lead a persecution-free life. Now, if you cannot handle those in your household and in your immediate communities speaking things about you that are, or your work environment, you cannot handle them speaking things about you that are ill because of your faith, how would you think you'd survive when world leaders, should you live until then, when military forces, when the best, because technology advances daily, when the best weapons ever known to man are all assembled to destroy you and those who believe what you believe? The beautiful thing is that our faith doesn't come from us, which means that even if you are weak now, should Yahweh keep you to see that day, you shall not cower, because Yahweh has promised that the Son of His, Yeshua HaMashiach, shall return with power and shall destroy these wicked rulers by the word of His mouth. There is at work in the earth now the spirit of the anti-Messiah. The man is not at work yet. The spirit of this person, the nature of this person, is already at work according to Scripture. And that person's behavior is manifested through many leaders in this earth. Their behavior points directly to what the anti-Messiah is going to do. and what his assignment through Yahweh's divine wisdom shall entail. Daniel chapter 5 has an account of a leader who's seen at that time as the most powerful in the world. And it has an account as to how he handled vessels of Yahweh's. Shaul wrote to the Corinthian church, and in writing to that church he made reference to us, or to saints at Corinth, being vessels. In every great house there are vessels, some for honor and some for dishonor. Some of those vessels are made of gold, others are made of silver, and it goes down to wood. And he spoke to the fact that you must understand here, saints, every one of those vessels is in the great house. And every one of those vessels has a place in the great house. We are the vessels of Yahweh. And today, as I missed last week, I'm instructed to continue speaking to the regime in this country and warn this nation of Guyana here in South America prophetically of what lies ahead for you and of you. Inclusive in this are the saints who are in the USA, because your leader, your political figure, and those of his ilk have got a sharp focus on this nation of Guyana, South America. I submit to you that the United States has the leaders, not all of them, they have absolutely no issue with whether the PPP, the PNC, APNU, WPA, whatever you are, they have no issue with whether they destroy people in order to maintain U.S. interests. This nation, or that nation of the USA, is not governed by people with an interest in what is right. They have an interest in what is beneficial, not even to the USA. They have an interest in what benefits them on a personal basis. Yahweh has told me to tell you all here in Guyana already, watch out for the vacation homes that'll be built right here. They will squeeze you Guyanese off of every plot of land that they think is of value to them, either in its resource or its location. You shall be corralled, pushed into corners of this nation, and subjected to being slaves for the wealthy. Your sense of value, as is the case in the USA, if you're not careful, shall be where you fit on the rank of the slaves. on that ranking scale. Good to see you, Melanie. It's okay. Where you fit? Where do you find yourself on that scale? Are you a slave who's a millionaire but still controlled by the masters? Or would you be one who is considered untamed, uncontrollable? Brother Brian, it's so good to see that you're here. Shalom and blessings to you. Where do you fit on the ranking scale of those who control your leaders here in this country? An integral part of the machinery of the anti-Messiah is the church that is his, or the devil's. In Revelation of Yeshua, it's recorded that those who belong to the synagogue of Hasatan. There are preachers in this country, Guyana, South America. There are gospel singers in this country of South America, Guyana, South America. There are church leaders in this country whose idea of favor lies with how they are handled by heathens. And the likes of Samuel Midas come to mind, who said, these are not my words, that Christians essentially should take the opportunity to attend this the day of prayer and fasting at Irfan Ali, a Muslim would have called for. Because when you take this, you have to be smart to take these opportunities, and that's how you get opportunities in life. It wasn't long after, or in that same period of time, when he and two others, I think, were called to discuss matters, or a few others were called to discuss what they claimed to be things related to musicians. Remember when he said he was sitting in the corner counting how many students there are in Guyana, and he arrived at 3? And Ali said, okay, I have 3 students, so they'll divide this $9 million or whatever sum it was among the 3. And he never said in that forum, no, it was a mistake. Or no, sir, no, sir, it's more than that. I'm just trying to count to reckon to see how many there are. Do you see the US? Do you see what happened to the likes of Kirk Franklin and these people? Look in any nation. Observe what the posture of the leading gospel artist is in that nation, and it tells you how compromised the entire church is. I promise you, try it. You give it a test. You check any nation in this world where there's what you call this church, this Jesus people, and I promise you that if you look at their leading gospel artists, as they're called, it will give you the perfect idea as to where the church fits in that nation. That wicked, deceptive crew, deceived bunch. They cannot speak to social ills. Hear me carefully. That would cause the unrighteous, wicked leaders to be exposed for wickedness. They can speak to social ills that the unrighteous, wicked leaders would agree to For example, if they speak to an unkempt city, and the leader has an issue with garbage being everywhere, then they can speak to that. If they speak to theft increasing, and they say we should not be stealing things from people's yards and so on, because of course the wealthy never like to have their things stolen from them. It's amazing that wealthy people in general can steal your land, they can steal your resources, they can steal your time, they can underpay you, which is theft of your time. But whenever you steal any item from them, you swear that they're about to die and they're ready to kill for it, or have you killed for it. Now these gospel artists can speak to theft, and should the wicked rulers despise this theft, then they have a chance. But if there is, for example, or since there is the scourge of the alphabet gang, LGB foolishness, there's nothing like a transgender, none can exist. You cannot transition to another gender. No one can. And in the USA there is, and in Guyana there is, so many efforts being made. There are efforts being made to normalize this behavior. Midas cannot speak about that in this country. Try me. And you know that I know you, and you know me well enough. He cannot. And what you need to ask yourself is, why is it that he, his leaders, those who surround him, those who encourage him, why can none of them say it, speak to this matter? In many cases, they dread the loss of a US, Canadian, or UK. Well, they don't need visas to the UK now. They dread the loss of a US visa. They fear being blacklisted. They fear being, even internally, being spoken of as being hateful. Hence, they coin doctrines of demons that speak to loving everybody. And then their Jesus that was demonically influenced in its origin comes into the doctrine that Jesus loves everybody. And they coin the wicked doctrine that says love the sinner but hate the sin. When that is found nowhere in scripture, I will always ask you, kindly show me the scripture where it speaks to the lie burning in hell or being cast into the lake of fire. Where does fornication find its way? Where does adultery find its way into the lake of fire? Is it not the person, the wicked? And so, even those who you look at and are sold to you as gospel artists and preachers, these people are an integral part of the anti-messiah's ability to function effectively. They cannot speak to, not one of them could touch, the bulldozing of the houses of people of African ancestry in this land. Not one of them in the US could touch the fact that Barack Obama is the one who built cages in those border communities. Cages in which children were put who were running across the border, trying to escape from hardship, as they put it, and wanted to go to have a chance at the American dream. And they called them illegal immigrants. None of those preachers in the USA. T.D. Jakes is a waste. Absolute waste. Austin never would say it. It happened in Texas. You will not find the gospel singers of EP talking to these things. Not one of them. That they are children in cages built by Barack Obama. And then when Obama was out, Trump got in, suddenly the Democrats started talking about cages, the cage cities that they have children in, these refugees, not refugees, the immigrants. And Kamala Harris was so touched, and she promises she's going to do so much. And they played on that. However, when was the last time that you could tell me you saw Joseph Biden or Kamala Harris anywhere close to the border to show you what happens in those cages? Do you know that the cages are now bigger under Biden? They have cages like for wild animals in which they put children in the land of the free. Who has a conscience for everybody in the world except themselves. But they could tell you when there are 15,000 Haitians, African descendants, who are the most mistreated people in history when it comes to slavery. Hiding on the bridges and drowning in rivers just because they're trying to get into the USA. And Haitians really want to get to France. And heaven knows why they want to get there in the first place, given what France is doing to you. You're not hearing Kamala Harris, who is supposed to be this great champion for human rights and justice, and the one who should be so great in dealing with illegal immigration and all that, who told them, come, we can make life better for you all when Trump was there. And when the people started coming when they won, suddenly she wants the people to not be there anymore. They're not telling you that they have human beings in cages, children locked up like a bird in a cage, now in your beloved USA. Where are the voices of the church leaders and the gospel singers? Have you heard anybody write a gospel song about children being locked up in cages in your country? Those outside, drop the volume on TV for me, please. And we have got here in this country. In this country, we're going to Daniel 5 in a minute. In this country of Guyana here, I'm speaking prophetically to you all, because prophecy is not just telling the future. It's about telling forth Yahweh's mind about a nation of people or people. And this country, this Guyana, your wickedness has you exactly where he wants you. Can you imagine? Can you imagine what it's like? That there is what we call CARICOM, the Caribbean Community, Caribbean Common Market, a community of people in the Caribbean, of which Haiti is a signatory and a member. A member. And this regime, the PPP, this regime, under y'all, are saying that these African descendants, in the decade devoted to Africans, must have a visa to come to Guyana, when there's no such thing in CARICOM. What did John Smith say? What has Raphael Messiah said? What has the Adventist pastor say? What has he said? What has the Brethren Church said? Why do I speak to John Smith all the time? You all need to understand why I do it. Because the Assemblies of God in this country represents the largest portion of Christians. The Assemblies of God has the largest Christian population in this country, far outnumbering any other. What have you said? And your predominant ethnicity in reference to the composition of the Assemblies of God are African descendants. And Haitians are told, a CARICOM member state, the residents, the nationals are told that they cannot come to this country because Anil Nandalal said, an attorney general, they shouldn't be here without having permission and visa and certain things. Can you imagine that? What has the Assemblies of God said? You couldn't even write a statement. Let's go to the text. Midas couldn't say anything, and Haitians are known to be Catholics and other denominations. And they talk about Jésus, they love Jésus, which is Jesus, as a country all foolish reasoning. And you couldn't even represent them. You are xenophobic. And you're wicked. Daniel chapter 5 from verse 1. Belshazzar, the king, that's Nebuchadnezzar's son now, gave a great banquet for 1,000 of his lords, and in the presence of the 1,000 he was drinking wine. Festivity, celebration. While tasting the wine, Belshazzar ordered that the gold and silver vessels which his father Nebuchadnezzar had removed from the temple in Jerusalem be brought. Nebuchadnezzar's son Belshazzar made a request while he was drinking, which means he didn't start with the vessels of Yahweh's temple. He was drinking wine from some other vessels. But while tasting the wine in his festive mood, he had an idea. He remembered that there are vessels brought from the temple of Yahweh when they captured Israel, Jerusalem. So he said, let them be brought so that the king, his lords, his wives, and his concubines could drink from the said vessels. So they brought the gold vessels which had been removed from the sanctuary of the house of Elohim, the house of God, in Jerusalem, which would be the temple. See that? They brought the vessels. They brought the objects, gold vessels, which would be removed from the sanctuary of the house of God in Jerusalem. And the king, his lords, his wives, and his concubines drank from them. Most of you know this from Sabbath school and Sunday school. Okay. They drank their wine and passed and praised their gods made of gold, silver, bronze, iron, wood, and stone. They drank their wine. They drank their wine in the vessels that were brought from the temple. I said to you again that Shaul wrote to the church at Corinth, and he spoke to that church. He said, in every great house there are vessels, some of gold, some of silver, and he got down to wood and even clay, and he spoke to the fact that we are these vessels. Apostle Thomas, shalom, and good to see you, my brother. The king, when he wanted to be entertained further, made a request to have the vessels that were taken from Yahweh's temple, gold and silver vessels, brought to him. And when the vessels were brought to him, they knew the purpose for it, which was for him and his wives, his nobles, his concubines, and others to drink the wine in them. But that wasn't all. You see, added to that was the fact that they began praising their gods made of silver, gold, bronze, iron, wood, and stone while they were drinking. Now, I'll ask you a question to ensure that you understand what will happen when as I deliver this message to you. Who made the request to bring the vessels? By office. Was it the concubines, the wives, the lord, or was it the king? Who made the request to bring the vessel from Yahweh's temple that he had taken from them, his father? Who? My cousin answered in the house already. The king. The king made the request. The king. The wives drank. The lords drank. The concubines drank. Don't miss this today. The wives drank. The lords drank. The concubines drank. But the king made the request. Everybody drank. Bear that in mind. Everybody enjoyed themselves. But the king is the one who made the request. Suddenly, verse 5 records, the fingers of a human hand appeared and began writing on the plaster of the palace wall by the lampstand. When the king saw the palm of the hand that was writing, the king's face took on a different look. As frightening thoughts rose up within him, his hip gave way and his knees started knocking together. The king, everybody drank. Everybody drank. The vessels that were taken from Yahweh's temple by Nebuchadnezzar were kept in Babylon. Nebuchadnezzar had a son named Belshazzar who began to rule the nation. And this boy, this man, in one of his moments of entertainment, found it sensible to take or send for the vessels from Yahweh's temple. And he didn't just drink the wine in them. They began praising their Babylonian gods. Gods made of gold, silver, bronze, and iron, wood, and stone. They began to show not just disrespect for Yahweh's vessels from the temple, but disrespect for Yahweh himself. Apostle Josh, shalom and blessings, my brother. Good to see you. I want to submit to you this afternoon, the beginning of this, right here, that we are vessels. And there is one thing every saint has to be warned about today, every saint. It's how are you used by rulers? How? What makes you feel valued? In your place of employment, what makes you feel valued? What makes you feel valuable? What is it? In the political circles of your country and your towns, what makes you feel valuable? Do they see you as the one who can cut the ribbon to open the lesbian, gay? There's nothing gay but homosexual. The Alphabet Gangs Center for Child Development. Are you seen as one in the whole room who would be willing to cut the ribbon to open that center and give a speech? Because after all, it's your position to do so. Let's talk. What quality of vessel are you seen as today in your place of employment and by your political figures in your community? Who has the power to call you, to request your presence, while they praise a God that's not yours? You remember Samuel Mida said that you must go to this day of prayer into faith. I showed you all last week where the man, an Adventist pastor, Adventist of all people in this country, was sitting on Harmony Hour on NCN, speaking with Muslim, Hindu, Christian, and they were talking about harmony in this country and how you can promote religious harmony. And next month, day after tomorrow, as they put it according to Pope Gregory's calendar, begins Harmony Month, or sometime this Harmony Week. And they would be in this country under Ali's one Guyana foolishness, harmony, where there'll be a breakfast addressed by, a gathering for breakfast addressed by Irfan Ali. Here again, a Muslim president is addressing Adventists. Of all people who say you have to keep the 10 commandments. Now, which one of the 10? Because the first one said you must have no other God beside me. None. According to what y'all said. And what is written here, according to what you call the 10 commandments, it is there. I am Yahweh. You must have no other God. But Adventists could be on TV. Tune in tonight, you'll see him again. Wendell Jeffrey. An Adventist. Can you imagine what this country is coming to? This country, Guyana, South America, has lost all sense of morality when it comes to spiritual matters. All. You have nothing to cling to anymore. When the Adventists could join the fray, let's not forget that it was the Adventist president who got up to pray. And they were so impressed by his prayer when he finally called all the altar Arthur Chung Center. Remember that day? And he had this impressive prayer in their viewpoint. When I asked of him, and still would ask of him, show me where you're permitted to do that. And Mida said that that's how you get opportunities. Well, I would definitely not have an opportunity in this country. If I have to attend an interfaith service and sell my righteous soul to get opportunities, I shall have none. No king, no ruler, no supervisor, no boss, as you all call them, should have the power to invite you or to command, not even invite, but to command your presence when they disrespect your God. This is not a secular request. It is a spiritual situation. Because once they come into the term of prayer, there's no longer I have to pray for anything. There is no law in this country that speaks to my having to pray. I don't have to do anything when it comes to spiritual matters. The Constitution gives me the right, if I want to be atheist, I can be one. So there's nothing that says I have to pray anywhere. But when it comes to spiritual matters, and somebody could walk on your faith to the degree that says that we know what you believe, but you have to come here. And you have to pray to this God. Or you have to listen to us pray to our gods. And you are the one who selected. It tells me that the king knows that you are a vessel that came from the temple probably, but you have no power in yourself. These vessels taken from the temple were inanimate, were just dead objects. Lifeless, as a matter of fact. Non-living things. We are living stones, building up a holy habitation. How could living stones have no issue being taken into an environment where your God is disrespected? And there's so many Christians, as you all are defined, who can easily be called by Ali. And anybody, the mayor could call you all, anybody could call you all in wherever they are, township or region they are, they could call you up. A minister call you, you feel so important. And they could call you because they're going to have a meeting or they're going to have something, and they could call you there and give you an agenda. Go to Linden. Go on NC and on the television, and you all talk about unity. And the pastors in Linden will have to talk about unity. Because after all, I, Nigel London, would be seen as one who's divisive. So as a result of that, you have to counteract what I'm saying. How do you do that? You have to have programs that have a spread and have influential people, as they see themselves to be, who have reach. And you have to try to convince them that you should not be like Nigel London. But there is a holy God, whose temple, because the holy God Yahweh had this Moshe, had craftsmen make these gold and silver vessels for service in the temple. Because the holy God Yahweh had something to do with the vessels that were in his temple at that time. The physical temple. The temple built by hands. Because it had something to do with Yahweh's name and the Ark of the Covenant, the vessels became holy. Meaning set apart. You can't just use them for any old purpose. The vessels became or were deemed sacred, set apart. That's what holy means. Sanctified, different from any other vessel because of where they were positioned and who they were associated with. Bear with me, I'm going somewhere with this afternoon. Because of who the vessels were associated with, because of whose worship they were made for, and because Yahweh affirmed their presence in his temple, the vessels were deemed holy. And because the gold and the silver cups were deemed holy, and the platters were deemed holy, you can't just pick it up and do what you want with it. Saints of Yahweh are called holy. Different. Set apart. Sanctified. Purified. And y'all want to tell me that we serve the same God, but Ali, a Muslim, could pick you up and have you all running all around the place? There is no saint on this broadcast who should be at anything called Holy Week prayer breakfast. None. Not one of y'all. That is not a suggestion, that's an instruction. There is no saint who should be present at anything called Holy Week, called Harmony Week's prayer breakfast. You should not be there. It is not a constitutional responsibility of yours. And even if they wanted to enshrine that in the Constitution, you should not be there. I am not called to respect other religious viewpoints. I can interact with you on a social basis, but when it comes to spiritual matters, I do not have even a constitutional responsibility to respect anything you believe. Neither do you have to respect mine. I have never asked for any person in this country to respect my religious beliefs. Never have I asked for that. I'm getting stronger by the minute, Brother Aubrey. Thank you. I have never asked anybody to respect my religious beliefs. I will never do it either. If you want to disrespect me as a Christian, I'm happy. Y'all don't get that yet, huh? As a Christian, as they label me, I don't have a problem with that. I began by telling y'all that I rejoice when I'm spoken of in an evil manner. I hope you get this. When people speak insult in an insulting way about my faith, I get happy. It doesn't get me upset. Let me submit to you that I and other saints who are truly called saints, we have got no mandate to defend ourselves from being insulted for what we believe in. The instruction is to rejoice when it happens, not to defend yourself. I do not care about whether you laugh at my believing in Yahweh. It doesn't matter to me. Whether you say I'm crazy for believing in some God I can't see, it doesn't matter to me either. Now, if I could be okay with your insulting me, why you have to have some special law to protect you and your belief? Is it that your belief is so weak and frail it can't stand on its own? I don't need a law to protect what I believe in. Thank you, Apostle Joshua. Only Yahweh saints are one. One Guyana can never happen. You were never called as a saint to join arms in Harmony Week to give the claim that all religions in Guyana are united. You could never be united in religion. Type this for your sake. The purpose of religion is division. The purpose of religion is division. You cannot be united in religion. It is impossible. The purpose of religion is division. And I say Christianity, I'm telling you in general, all across the board. All of them. The purpose of religion is division. If there is no religion, then there's no spiritual ground for you to be divided on. I hope you get that. So there is a sham, there's a game that's played with you that says, listen, we can respect each other's beliefs and you can come to my church and I can go to your church and we can all interact. We don't have to be aggressive towards one another. Because there is an absence of aggression doesn't mean that there is unity. And these numbskulls wouldn't get it in Ghana because you all are playing into a political game to get what you want. I don't have to fight you to be divided from you. What you're trying your best to do is to remove hostility while there is still division. Because the Adventists would still tell you all you have to go to church on Saturday to keep the Sabbath. Although Jeffrey was sitting with the Muslims, he would still say that if you want to be holy, you have to keep the 10 Commandments. The Muslims don't have the 10 Commandments, so there's division. The Muslim will say that it's haram. If you do, if you go and you want to drink and carry on and cut some people and fight up and carry on, get mad. So there is still division. The Muslim will say to you that Jesus is not God. We don't have to fight. We don't have to fight each other. But just take note that Jesus isn't God, according to the Quran. The purpose of religion is division. And Irfan Ali, because he's not a devout Muslim, he's an opportunistic person. He would not, as one who's paid to be president, seek to ever sell the truth to Guyana. Because truth is not what keeps him where he is. I am not supposed to unite with anyone from any other religion for religious purposes. No! I tell you again, I can unite with you for spiritual purposes, for social purposes, not spiritual ones. If the water is unclean, we all have to drink it. So we could all stand and fight for proper water. We all drive on the same road to go wherever fellowship you go to, wherever religious group you belong to, you still have to drive on the same road to get there. So we have to talk about proper roads. We all eat. And we want proper price for our food and proper service. So we could fight for that. But you telling me that you can have what is called harmony and have a prayer breakfast where all people, Baha'i, everybody get together, including you Christian ones who believe in Jesus, and they all pray for harmony, because you have to have harmony. The king used vessels, and when the vessels were brought to him, the king was praising, along with the lords and his wives and concubines, they were praising their Babylonian gods, disrespecting Yahweh. And because they were disrespectful to Yahweh, a hand began to write on the wall. And the king is the one who made the request. While everybody drank, the king saw a hand writing on the wall. While they were drinking, at the king's request, the king Belshazzar saw a hand, fingers of a human hand, writing on a wall. When you venture into disrespecting Yahweh's holy vessels, I'm talking about the saints being the holy vessels. When people disrespect a saint, the assumption is that nothing will happen to you, to them. Because at the end of the day, there are times when the vessel doesn't fight back. There are times when the vessels are manipulated. The saints are used. There are times when the saints are put in a position whereby they have no power apparently, and the thought process is that nothing is happening in reference to a response from the vessel. I'm here to talk to some saint this afternoon where the thought process is that they could continue to do what they do because they do not see a direct connection between their actions and the vessel. There's no repercussion being experienced. There's no consequence being experienced. And they think that they could do whatever they want to do to the vessel because there's no reaction from the vessel. But oh, I submit to you, saint, that because of where you are positioned, the scripture says that we are seated or set in heavenly places in Messiah Yeshua. Because of where we are positioned, oh, when somebody touches a holy vessel, holy means different. It means you set apart. When somebody begins to manhandle and to abuse and use a saint in a manner that is wrong, the saint may not react, but the one who has endorsed the vessel, the one who said that this vessel, this saint, is set apart for my glory, the one who said that this vessel right here is useful for my kingdom, the one who said that this vessel is positioned in my holy house, that person, that God, even when the vessel doesn't object, has a hand that writes. Even when the vessel doesn't fight, the God has a hand that has a message for you all in this country. The hand of Yahweh. Even though the vessels, the saints, don't have the power to deal with y'all in Guyana, there's a hand that has deemed them holy that will deal with y'all. Vessels don't always have the ability to fight, but the God who endorsed the vessel always has. The vessel may not always have the ability to resist where it is. But the God who has got the endorsement on the vessel has got a hand that has written a message for this country. And the more y'all believe that you could disrespect saints and get off with it, there's a hand that's waiting for y'all. You could duck and hide our names, and you can try to hide our requests, and you can try to shelve our opportunities, and you can try to deny our promotions, and you can try to cripple our businesses, but there's a hand with a message for the leader of this country, a body of leaders, and you will experience the power of Yahweh Elohim, of the El Elyon, the great mighty God. You will be, I told y'all, the Caribbean will know about y'all when Yahweh finishes with y'all in this country. When Yahweh is done with you, the world will know about Guyana for sure, and not just for oil. They are of the viewpoint that because they could have the vessel in the palace, and because they can make a request that the vessel has to fulfill, they're the viewpoint that they have power over the vessel. But they don't understand that there's something about Yahweh's endorsement and his holy vessels. When Yahweh has endorsed a saint, and Yahweh has said that you are my child, and Yahweh has said that you are the apple of my eye, and he said that you are a chosen people, there is a degree of divine protection attributed to every saint. You can't treat us in any old-fashioned way and think you will get off. You go ahead with your subliminal foolishness. You will call us by name when the writing is too hard for you to read, when what is written is too difficult for you to comprehend. You will call for us by name, and I can promise you that we'll tell you exactly what the message is. Saints, those of you who are being abused, those of you who are being abused as I speak to you, those of you who are being abused, and persons like your neighbor don't seem to get it, those of you who have experiences whereby because people have connections, like me, remember what happened? They could call the police, and they could get favors granted, and they could have evidence ducked and hidden, and they could have your opportunities stripped from you. In their viewpoint, they think that they could get off. They believe that when they say that you're fired and you have to pack your bags and you walk off the job, they think that when they laugh and they smicker in the office, they think that that's the end of you because they were able to do what they wanted to do with the vessel. What they don't realize is that there's a hand. There's one who has endorsed that vessel. And because you think you could do whatever you want to do with it, you heathens, there's a hand that's written a message for you. The king was frightened when he saw the handwriting. The king was traumatized. The king's knees started to shake. The king could not deal with the fact that in the midst of his entertainment, in the midst of praising his gods, y'all don't miss this, in the midst of them praising their Babylonian gods, there was a hand that didn't resemble the hand of one of their gods. There was a different experience. Remember now, they have different gods in Babylon, and some made of gold, some made of steel, some made of silver, some made of iron, some made of stone and glass, and the king recognized that the hand that was writing on this wall did not belong to any one of my gods. Dance if you want to dance, Sister Rachel. There's a hand that didn't look like any Babylonian god's hand, and he knew that it was not the right thing from one of his gods. So the king cried out. Verse 7 of Daniel 5, the king cried out, bring the exorcists, bring the astrologers, bring the diviners. The king called for spiritual men to give him some help. The king said to the sages of Babel, which would be the spiritual leaders, whoever can read this inscription and tell me what it means will be dressed in royal purple, wear a gold chain around his neck, and be one of 3 men ruling the kingdom. The king, in order to get an understanding, was prepared to promote anybody to leadership over the nation, the kingdom of Babel, not just a country, if they could only tell him what he saw, because he knew that what he saw was not what was written by one of his gods. But although the kings and the king's sages came in, none could read the inscription or tell the king what it meant. Then King Belshazzar became terrified. His face turned pale, and his lords were thrown into confusion. Hallelujah. Ooh, that's it, baby. I know you thought it was the end. I know you thought I'd never get up again. Just be patient, don't be fooled. I can't wait for that album to be launched, Regina, for that EP to come out. Your songs were written by you and Rodney. You all write things that are not ordinary, because you listen to righteous preaching, then you write by divine inspiration. He fights for me. My God. Woo! I can't wait. At that point, the queen mother, because of what the king and his lords were saying, entered the banquet hall. The queen mother said, may the king live forever. Don't be scared by your thoughts or let your face be so pale. There is a man in your kingdom in whom is the spirit of the holy gods. In the days of your father he was found to have light, discernment, and wisdom, like the wisdom of the gods. King Nebuchadnezzar, your father, the king, your father, made him chief of the magicians, exorcists, astrologers, and diviners. Because he was found to have an extraordinary spirit, knowledge and discernment, and the ability to interpret dreams and unlock mysteries and solve knotty problems. He is called Daniel, but the king gave him the name Belshazzar. Now Daniel, she said, have Daniel summoned, and he will tell you what it means. Daniel was brought to the king's presence. The king said to Daniel, are you Daniel, one of the exiles from Yehuda, whom the king my father brought out of Yehuda? I've heard about you, that the spirit of the gods is in you, and that you've been found to have light, discernment, and extraordinary wisdom. I submit to you, saints, that even the heathens, although they do not have spiritual accuracy in reference to how they can rightly divide the word of truth, they have spiritual insight. They can see exactly who is real, and they can tell your righteous position. I'm here to submit to you that some of you all from today will begin to have a righteous history written about you in your job. Even if you're not in it, they will still talk about you when you leave it. There's a record in your business circles, there's a record in the circles of association where they will talk about you. There is a record being written from today that will not be lost. They will know you. They will know of your worth and your value. They'll know of what you have done. They don't have the spiritual insight or accuracy to rightly say what it is, but they would know that there was something about you that could not be denied and could not be hidden. The king said, the sages, exorcists were brought into me so that they could read this inscription and tell me what it means, but they could not interpret it for me. However, I've heard that you can give interpretations and solve knotty problems. Now, if you can read the inscription and tell me what it means, you will be dressed in royal purple, wear a gold chain around your neck, and be one of 3 men ruling the kingdom. Oh, glory, hallelujah. The king said, if you could tell me what this inscription is, what was the writing on the wall, you will wear royal purple, which makes you now royalty in the palace, in the kingdom. You wear a gold chain around your neck, and you'll be one of 3 men to rule the whole kingdom. Verse 17 is what y'all holy preachers cannot say. And all of those men in this country, all of y'all, I'm talking to who watch me now, I'm talking to you. You Jesus runs, you pimps in pulpits. You cannot say this. Daniel answered the king, keep your gifts. Oh my Lord. You feel that George Smith and them could tell any president who called them. I told you at the beginning, that's why I introduced this message in this way, that there are leaders in this country, in the church, who believe that their position made us you one of them. You all believe that if the president likes you, then you are favored by Yahweh. Well, you're God, not even Yahweh. That's how your process. When the devils like you and bring you into their circle, you believe that that's opportunity. Daniel said, keep your gifts. Oh, how many of them do you know can stand and say that they said this to any leader? No, I told you all, the first thing they want is a plot of land. Give me some land, please. Can you give me a contract so that I can make some money? Can you give me a donation of some sort? Can you give me a position on a board? Can I be chairman of this board, Mr. President? Daniel said to the king, keep your gifts. I told you all, as a Guyanese who has got businesses registered in this country, I can do business in Guyana. I don't want favors. So if I'm awarded a contract, it's because I would have put in the bid, or if I don't have to bid for it, I've won the right to have it. I will do business in my country because it's my right. I don't want some favor from you all. There are preachers in this country who represent Yeshua HaMashiach, who you know you can't buy. You cannot buy me. Keep it. Keep your gift. Businessmen will come to my house and ask me to pray for their business and say if I can pray for the business because it's suffering. They're willing to give me an offering because that's what they do with the boys in Linden now. With the preachers, they have to carry a seed. And I told them to their face, keep your money. I don't want your money. Because the Bible says, the scriptures records that the way of a transgressor is hard. So your business is suffering because your ways are hard. Your ways are transgressing. Your business is suffering because you're not applying proper business principles. Keep your money. Neither am I going to pray for you because I don't pray for business. I don't pray for your business, and I don't want any offering from you either. There's a record and many in Linden of my telling businessmen that to their faces, keep your money. I don't want your money. I'm not going to pray for your business either. Just do the right thing. Daniel said, keep your gifts. Joshua is asking a question. I didn't see the question. Sorry about that, Brother Aubrey. Keep your gifts and give your reward to someone else. I don't want it. However, said Daniel, I will read the inscription to the king and tell him what it means. Ooh, see that? Daniel said, I don't need anything from you. but because Daniel knew exactly where the writing came from. Joshua said, Apostle, am I free to boast in this prophetic teaching? You surely are, as long as you're boasting in Yahweh, of course. The king was told, keep your gifts and give somebody else reward. I don't want them. When you called by the CEO, when you called by the owner of the company, when you called by the member of parliament, when you called by the king, by the president, you're not going there because you want some opportunity. You call because of the testimony about you. The testimony about you is that you are not somebody who's like the rest. That's what they said. I praise Yahweh that is known in Guyana that I am not like the rest. Neither Apostle Besu nor Apostle Thomas and others who are here. We are not like the rest. I am not for sale. I cannot be purchased. My position is clear. Give me what is constitutionally mine. If I see that you on purpose you're seeking to do everything in your power to deny me, to discriminate against me in reference to business, then I'll deal with you all publicly. Because I have a right to do business in this country. And so does every other Guyanese. But you cannot buy me with some secret meeting and some private conversation, some hidden conversation you think it would be. Daniel said, keep your gift because you're in trouble. He said to the king, your kingdom is now at an end. Go to verse 26. He said, this is the meaning of what you saw. Your kingdom, or Yahweh Elohim, has counted up your kingdom and brought it to an end. And Perez means it's been divided to the Medes and the Persians. It was divided. The king was given his interpretation. There is division and there's an end. You don't disrespect Yahweh's servants. You don't disrespect Yahweh's saints. You don't play around with Yahweh's holy Yahweh. I'm here to announce to you today that there is an end. Your only hope, your only chance in this spiritual situation that you face here finale today is you better change how you process up here. You had better change how your mind is functioning. And it's not you. Yahweh said, whoever is the king in this country, whoever is the king outside of this country that's controlling what happens in it, you are the one. You. It's not about the puppet being controlled. He said whoever is the king responsible for what's happening in this country, there is an end. There is a division and there is a conclusion. That is exactly what I've been instructed to tell you. Whoever you are, because this message will get to you. Whoever you are that's behind controlling the actions of those who lead this country, who claim to be leading the country, but you all are behind it doing what you have to do, there is an end. Y'all watch, even if it's Biden, he knows just what's happening in this country. And if he is facilitating all these games being played here, there's an end. There is an end. Don't be surprised if Kamala Harris becomes president, the first female by ascension, because Belshazzar died the same night. It didn't last for 2 weeks and 2 months and 2 years. Whoever is behind this injustice and this wicked foolishness that saints have to endure, you would be brought to the fore, because Yahweh has written, there is an end. Whoever you are, whatever, if it's an ambassador, whatever you are, whatever position a person holds, there is an end. There is a division, there's a division, and then there is a conclusion. So if you're in Guyana and you're not the one who's causing this to happen, then you have a chance, because you're not the king. The king sent for the vessels. The king, the one who was in charge of Bavel, he's the one who said, bring the vessels. And when he got the vessels, he began to drink from them and disrespect Yahweh by praising other gods while he was holding holy vessels. Whoever you are that is causing discomfort to come to Yahweh's people by unjust and wicked means, and causing this nation to go through what it's going through, and causing saints to have no opportunities given to them based on your unjust dealings, there is an end. This is how you will know who is behind it, because there is an end. As always, we shall see. We shall behold, and we shall see. And what I do know is that you would never forget what I said today. You would not forget. There is an end. You don't mishandle holy vessels. We are not for your entertainment. We're not for you to sit and have discussions and skin your teeth like fools and play around and think that you can just make a mockery of who we are in your circles and think that is okay. There is an end. There is an end. In your family circles, those who felt that they could say whatever they want to say about you, and in your church circles, they could do whatever they want to do with you, and they can carry on, they can talk, and they can slander and talk. There is an end. I told you this is the year of death. 23 equals death. 5,783 equals death. Your children are in danger. Yahweh will slaughter y'all. And some of you already begin to experience it. You will not forget what I said. Some of you who begin to were disrespectful to me, you already have the experience, and you know it's the truth. You can't even bring yourself to a place whereby you could even repent and say, oh my God, because the pain is too much for you to bear. This is just the beginning of sorrow for you all. You don't play around with Yahweh's holy vessels. You don't play around with Yahweh's holy vessels. He is beginning to eliminate you all. Don't pretend. You will see it. record will show. The record will show, because it's begun to happen already. You do not mishandle and manhandle and play around with Yahweh's holy vessel and think you could just walk away and get off. Saints are called holy. They are vessels of Yahweh. They are holy. You don't play around with them. So because you feel that you could do whatever you want and say whatever you want and then you could shout and holler for your Jesus, it's coming your way. Do well, saints. I remain grateful for the kindness you continue to show me. I'm grateful as always for the care and the compassion. Those of you who take the time to give to my family, to give to me, I am grateful. Thank you so much. I remain grateful. Those of you who would take the time to reach out to give to my family so that we can be maintained, I'm grateful. Thank you so much. What did my father say? This is a message we the saints need at this time, son. Let the rulers who think that they can do whatever they want to vessels of Yahweh be aware. Or beware. Yahweh will always defend what is his. They hear the word of Yahweh and tremble. Shout it from the rooftop, son. Blessings and shalom. Thank you so much, Daddy. And I shall. Saints, I'm grateful to you all. I'm grateful to Yahweh that I have never ever had to utilize trickery and scheming and scamming to get anything from you. You know your responsibility and you fulfill that with much class. I am grateful. You'll do well. I love you so much. Remain strong. Remain strong. You are supposed to be hated for righteousness' sake. You are supposed to rejoice when they demonstrate that hatred. Apostle Lambert, shalom and bless you, my brother. You're supposed to be hated. But those who hate you had better be careful about how they handle you in this world. I love you all. Do well. Bye-bye.